Look, I can't help but think that now might be a good time for a little fire and ice.
Do not know it's never a good time for fire and ice.
What happens when you mix fire and ice?
Warm water, baby.
It's bubbling, baby. Warm water. Warm water.
It is time now for a little fire and ice. Mike Tipton, Brandon the Iceman Cone. We are live over here at Union Draft House on Sunland Park, 713 Sunland Park Drive, right in the, I guess, same parking lot, Brandon, as the Sunland Park Mall. So if you're in El Paso, familiar with that, you know where it is, you know where to come down to. They've got the Tyson Fury fight happening right behind us right now. Right before that, they had the World Cup, Argentina defeating Australia.
The Aussies.
Earlier today, our United States got it handed to them by the Netherlands. But nonetheless, I'm still out here going to support the USA to the bitter end of it all, no matter how many times they disappoint me, much like the UTEP Miners. But before we get into that, Brandon, go ahead and let everybody know what the specials are going to be here at Union Draft House today.
So great specials, $2 build your own pizzas. So we have one on the way here. You got $2 to start and then $2 each additional topping. And then they have a drink special tip for $4. Tell them about that.
They've got all the sours on special today. So if you're into the craft beers, you love the sour type beers, come on out here. They got them for $4. Try them out. They've got over 100 different beers for you to choose from. And one of the cool things, Brandon, is that if you enter a certain type of program, I don't know what it is, but I've been motivated by it, and you try all 100 beers, you get something out of it. Like you're like considered one of the 100%ers that they have out there. And I think I've given myself a new challenge to do this now.
Yeah, I was going to say, I could definitely see you doing something like that.
Drinking all the beer in the world. Why not? I'm just looking at the camera right now, Brandon. My hair is messed up.
Yeah, it looks a little fakaked, but you know what? Hey, you do what you do.
The wind today got me. I'm looking all kinds of messed up.
Still handsome, though.
That's all that matters. As long as I sound good, that's all I care about, Brandon. Before we get into all the sports stuff, I want to say welcome back to you. Coming back from Iceland, I went out to Mexico City. You went out to Iceland. We couldn't have gone in more opposite directions. I guess I would have had to go to like Japan or something for us to be completely across the world from one another. Let us know how that vacation was that you took out there in Iceland.
Well, it's clearly one of the most beautiful places on earth. I'd recommend everybody goes to Iceland. It really is fire and ice. I mean, and no pun intended, ga. But I mean, I hiked on 2 glaciers, one under a active volcano. I went through ice caves. I went close to volcanoes. I saw volcanic areas everywhere. I drank the best water in the world. I snorkeled between 2 continents in glacier water, the clearest water on earth. We drove around the famed Ring Road we drove, they said 3,000 kilometers. That's over 1,800 miles around the country. I drove in pitch darkness. I drove through rain. I drove through snow. I basically had the best time of my life. It is by far, in my opinion, the most beautiful country I've ever seen. And I have seen a lot of places in my life, but everybody go to Iceland. The most beautiful people, the most wonderful food, great beer. You would love it because it's made with the Icelandic water. And lastly, how about this? The best scenery you're ever going to see in your life. It really is that amazing. Waterfalls, glaciers, mountains, beautiful ocean scenery. I mean, I honestly, there was not a part of the country I did not like.
Brandon talking about the most beautiful people in the world living in Iceland. I will disagree with that because we've got our handsome guy, Daver, here with us, and he is the most attractive man in the city of El Paso, everybody. I wish I could turn the camera around Daver, but I know if I do, I'm going to mess it all up.
I like flying under the radar, but thank you.
He likes flying under the radar. That's my guy right there. Congratulations to you and everything as well. Daver recently retired. Okay, now Brandon. I went to Mexico City. I got to watch a Monday Night Football game. The 49ers slapped around the Cardinals. It was a fun time, right? But I came back, and again, like I did it to myself, I thought that there was going to be some way in hell that UTEP would not disappoint me. I told you at the beginning of the year, if UTEP were to go to back-to-back bowl games, if UTEP, because they won in the East Coast for the first time in what seemed like 60 tries, because they had done so much to get good. They beat Boise State. They had won, back-to-back games for the first time in what felt like this millennia. Had they made it to the bowl game, it would have been the most historic football season in UTEP's history. and they came one damn game short of it.
Well, not only that, but they had what seemed like an insurmountable 24-0 lead over UTSA in San Antonio, and then they don't score any points in the second half. I mean, it's like, have we seen this picture before? Remind me if it's like deja vu. Again, I don't mean to be so blunt, but I'm going to be anyways. They are who we thought they were, okay? UTEP will disappoint you and break your heart. Now, with that being said, it's nice that they won 5 games. It's nice that they got close, but close counts for horseshoes and hand grenades. You know it as well as I do, Tip. You got to win that game. You got to be going bowling at the New Mexico Bowl again, but somehow, some way, if anybody can find a way to screw it up, it's going to be our beloved UTEP Miners, and they did, unfortunately.
Gentlemen,
Inexcusable.
We have a question.
Is being a UTEP fan like being a Philadelphia Eagles fan?
Is being a UTEP fan like being a Philadelphia Eagles fan? I would have to say no, because at least Philadelphia has given you something recently, right? Like, it was 2018. They won a Super Bowl. They're always competitive. They're always in the playoffs, it seems like. UTEP is just never there. Habitually never there.
I mean,
my entire since they, I don't mean to cut you off, Brandon, but since they won a bowl game in 1967, they've been to 5 bowl games since. 5 in 55 years. I guess once every 11 years, we should know what to expect from our UTEP Miners, right?
Well,
but I mean, my God, it is. And I'm not even a UTEP fan. That's the crazy thing about it. I'm a Texas Tech fan, right? Why am I invested in this damn team?
Well, unfortunately, we all are. I mean, you live here. It's your team. It's the only team you have to root for, football-wise, obviously. The fact that New Mexico State, by the way, going bowling again, they got that waiver approved, and good for them. I think it was a good decision, but they've won a bowl game within the last 20 years, and UTEP still – that's the thing. Okay, at least win a damn bowl game. You get there, at least win one, and then it takes a lot of heat off the program. But they get there, and they keep losing. And it's not like they get there very often, but all the time they end up screwing up. That's the most disappointing thing, is that if you're going to get there, at least win the friggin' game.
I think I told you this, Brandon, where I started writing a book about UTEP football history, right? Like, I wanted to see what UTEP football history was like. I've gone back, all the way to like 1907 with UTEP football, before any of this FBS stuff started, before, college football was considered its prime time in 1935, right? I'm going well before that with the history that I've looked up here on UTEP. I'm in chapter 3, which is like the 1920s and the 1930s. And I have a feeling that could be titled the UTEP Golden Age, because since then it's been, we live in a desert. We know all about droughts. It's been a drought, baby. It's been a hard, long drought.
Yeah, that's the understatement of the year. And again, we need to remember there are no such thing as moral victories. And some people would say, well, it's a moral victory to at least get to a bowl game. It is not. I mean, yes, it's for a program that doesn't ever win. It's certainly better than losing and not making a bowl game. But with that being said, again, it's about being able to finally get the monkey off your back and win one, something that they just haven't done. But I mean, it is adding insult to injury that they had such a good team coming in. They had a lot of anticipation, and they still weren't able to live up to the expectations. What are you looking at me like that for? Last year they went bowling. Last year they were a decent team. This year they had a lot of players coming back. They had a better defense. They had a better offensive line. They had a better ground game. They had their quarterback returning. They have their whole coach who was on cloud 9. They had a lot of things anticipating coming into this year, and unfortunately they didn't live up to that hype. And they beat Boise State this year, who's on right now.
Anybody, and I'm sorry, Brandon, the reason why I give you that look, anybody that had any expectations for this team, knowing what we know, 115 years of futility, anybody that knows anything about this team should have zero expectations about them making a bowl game. Zero. I said it flat out at the beginning of the season, this team wouldn't make a bowl game, right? Like, it's just not that way. I got hyped in the middle of the season whenever they won games I didn't think they were going to win, Boise State. But there should be zero expectations on this team ever making bowl games, ever winning bowl games. Again, they've made 5 bowl games in 55 years, 5.5 decades.
I mean,
why should you put any
you don't
level
have
of
to convince
expectation
me
on
of how crappy they've been. All I'm saying is that
no, you're the one that had expectation. Why would you have any expectations?
Because of what they were building off of from last year on. But I mean, it's not like they finished with over 2 or 3 wins. They did get awful close. But, of course, again, there are no moral victories. I was just excited about what this season brought, and it was unfortunate what happened. But it is what it is. There's always next year.
Yes. The reason why everyone hates Dallas Cowboys fans is because apparently we're always like, oh, there's next year, right? There's always next year.
There always is.
No matter what team you root for. However, as Tyson Fury is making his way on out here, we'll talk about this match in just a little bit, Brandon. But yes, there is always next year, right? Like for UTEP, there's always next year. I heard the rumblings, Brandon. I want to get your opinion on this. Is it time to let Dana DeMille go? Because I don't believe it is. I believe that you have seen improvement with this team. Yes, they didn't get 7 wins or go bowling this year, so some can see that as a perceived step back. The difference between the way that they lost in the past and the way that they lost this year is that they were competitive in games. Losing against UTSA isn't something to frown at, right? Like UTSA is a really damn good team. Yes, you had them on the ropes, but ultimately the UTSA proved they were the better team here. It's not like UTEP from a couple of years ago where they were just habitually getting blown the hell out, right? Like they're not losing horrible games. They're competitive in all these games. And again, they were on the precipice, Brandon, of having the most historic season in UTEP football history. Just right on the cusp of it, and they couldn't get there.
Yeah, I mean, it really is a shame. It really is a shame because you ask yourself, well, what could they have done had they just gotten hot at the right time and had they certainly been better down the stretch. But, again, Dana DeMille is here for a while. He needs to be here for a while. He's definitely showing a lot of improvement and a lot of growth in the program. And, I mean, hey, look, name of the game is make bowl games. And obviously for them, if they get the win, it's a plus. And you barely miss out this year. You got it last year. I say give him at least 2 or 3 more years and see what happens. And I anticipate continuous growth within this program.
I'm looking forward to see what the future holds for UTEP football. I have 0 expectations for them going into next year. I have 0 expectations for UTEP going into any year. So it's nice to see we get what we get, right? The really cool theatrical entrances in boxing today, especially with Tyson Fury. I absolutely love the swagger he comes down to the ring with, the Gypsy King, soaking it all in, man. Like, this is almost like wrestling, you know what I mean?
It's pretty cool. I mean, that's one huge stadium. There's got to be 80,000 people there. They're in the United Kingdom, so it looks amazing. This guy's like Apollo Creed coming out and rocking. Remember when he was like living in America? This guy totally has the same shtick. And, I mean, he's definitely one of the most flamboyant athletes in professional sports. But, I mean, you have to love the Gypsy King. He's one of the greatest heavyweight champions of all time, hands down. And I know the eras have been so different, and some people may beg to differ with the statement I just made. But the fact that he's gone in there with Wilder and really, to me, beaten him, I think, 3 times. But, some would argue the first draw. To me, I think he's by far one of the best heavyweight champs we've ever had.
We're being asked, Brandon, if we are big fans of hockey. I kind of am, not like really into hockey, right? Like I'll watch my Vegas Golden Knights because I've been a franchise-long fan. But other than that, like, I'm not really hardcore into hockey, so maybe we'll talk about hockey a little bit later. But I wanted to bring this up to you, Brandon. Does it feel almost like sports overload? Like we're about to overdose on sports because we've got hockey going on right now, right? We've got the NBA. College basketball is underway. College football is still going. The NFL is still going. We've got boxing. We got the World Cup. It just seems like it's borderline too much.
I mean, that's some people. I think it's never too much for me. Obviously, this is unprecedented in the fact that you actually have the World Cup going on during all these other sports because generally it's played in the summer, but they're, of course, in Qatar, and it's too hot there in the summer. So
you're not going to play in 140 degrees.
No, you're not. But, I mean, I'm happy that it's going on right now. It's very unique. We got some holiday soccer, which we normally don't have, and I'm completely okay with it. There can never be enough sports, in my opinion.
So you just want more of it. You want to start mainlining more sports?
I mean, why not? Might as well, man. Give me some sports all year round. But, like, right now, it's insane. It really is.
Okay.
And the bowl games will be here before you know it.
Speaking of bowl games, UTEP not going to one. Take that, nerds. Anyway, let's talk about the NFL because it's been like a jam-packed couple of weeks. You and I haven't really been able to even text about sports because you've been out of town. You've been doing all that good stuff. The Dallas Cowboys, the Philadelphia Eagles, the New York Giants, and now the Washington Commanders, all with record above 500. If the playoffs were to start today, all 4 of those teams will be in the playoffs. Have any of them separated themselves, right? Like I know Philly's 10-1, but there's a real legit chance because they're going up against a running team like Tennessee with Derrick Henry that they can take an L. Dallas should have a gimme win to them, but they're the Dallas Cowboys and they're a factory of sadness and disappointment, so they might lose this game against the Colts. We've seen the Giants look extremely fraudulent against good teams, but we've seen Washington look really good against good teams.
Yeah.
Is there a clear-cut winner here to this division?
Well, you can't say it's a crappy division anymore. It's very impressive the way every team from that division, odds are at this point, are going to make the postseason. And I think Washington's actually better than we're giving them credit for being. I mean, look, my philosophy is right now, if you're asking me for a winner, I'm still going to stick with Philly, okay? But I think Philly has more chinks in the armor than we're likely to maybe give them credit for having vulnerabilities. I really, truly believe that if Dallas can continue to play their best ball, not the team that lost to Green Bay, but the team that's won 2 in a row against 2 very good opponents, then they have a great chance of still winning this division. And I say that because wholeheartedly, I do agree in the respect that Philly could very well struggle against a really good Tennessee team. And then they play again, Dallas and Philly on Christmas Eve. That could ultimately be for the division, because let's not forget, Dallas only has 1 loss in the division, as does Philadelphia. And of course, that's to they lost to the Commanders and Dallas lost to Philly. So with that being said,
with that Dallas loss to Philly, we got to remember that wasn't with Dak Prescott.
Correct.
That wasn't with, the offensive line being as gelled as they are now, right? I'm not making excuses for that loss. A loss is a loss. You take your L, you go home, right? But it's going to be interesting to see what Dallas Cowboys team comes up. It feels like for the last decade almost, Brandon, every time the Cowboys are good, they have this thing where they play down to a lesser opponent, right? I want to see them go into Indy, or I guess the game's in Dallas. I want to see them manhandle the Indianapolis Colts. This game should not be close, right? But I feel like the Dallas Cowboys are going to Dallas Cowboy, do what they do best, and not take care of business. This feels like a trap game for me because you beat the hell out of the Minnesota Vikings. You got yourself a big win on Thanksgiving over the New York Giants, a team that you swept this year, right? And this feels like the trap for the Dallas Cowboys because what we've seen, their weakness in their armor, and that defense being one of the best defenses we've seen, is that you can run the ball on them. Jonathan Taylor had an MVP season last year, right? So we got a lot with the Dallas Cowboys that you got to look at this game and just say, go out there, blow out this Colts team, and prove you are a legitimate contender to win this division. Because I feel like there's some issues with Philadelphia that Dallas could try to capitalize on.
There's no doubt. And I mean, again, Philadelphia, they've had some close calls, and they did have that 1 loss. So, I mean, they're good, but to me, they're beatable. I mean, everybody's beatable when it comes down to it. I mean, it's and this is the time where the good teams separate themselves, or the great teams separate themselves from the good teams, the pretenders versus the contenders. And to me, this last month's going to be huge for the Cowboys. Look, I mean, to me, it's all about seeing, again, which team shows up. The games like the Indianapolis games tend to be the most difficult ones just because you over anticipate that they're going to beat the team with ease, and usually it's the exact opposite. So it's going to be an interesting game. I still think they should win that game easily, but it could definitely be a closer game than a lot of people anticipate overall. But let's face it, if this team plays up to the potential, as far as I'm concerned, the Cowboys really can beat anybody in the league.
It's going to be heartbreaking to say this out loud, Brandon. We are almost 3/4 of the way through with the NFL season. What team has been the most surprising to you, and what team has been the most disappointing to you?
Well, I'll tell you, I would have to say, I'll start with most disappointing. To me, the Rams have been extremely disappointing. Defending Super Bowl champions, pretty much. I mean, I knew you lost Von Miller, but I mean, pretty much just about your whole team coming back, and obviously no Odell Beckham. But they've been terrible. They have not been consistent. Stafford's pulled a Stafford. Reminds me of some of his bad days back in Detroit. And they just have not lived up. Their ground game has been crap. McVay's made some questionable calls. Kupp's had a good year, but I mean, not as good as last year, obviously. I feel they've been extreme disappointment. In terms of surprises, I'm going to say the Giants have been a big surprise. I mean, I know the Giants, Saquon hasn't been healthy, but now he's finally healthy. We all knew that, they had a situation where they had potential at the quarterback spot and all that. But I think when it's all said and done, I don't feel that I particularly thought that the Giants were going to be as good as they are this year. And I know they've lost twice to the Cowboys, but with that said, they're still a darn good team, and I've been impressed by the New York Football Giants.
I feel like it's going to be blasphemy coming from me, but my disappointing team, Brandon, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
That's a good answer. I mean, that's not a bad answer.
The fact that this is a team with the dreamy Tom Brady.
Are you talking about Tom? I just can't retire Brady.
Not everyone gets to enjoy retirement all the time, Daver.
That's right.
But yes, I am talking about, as Daver called him, Tom, I can't retire Brady. Now, I wonder how long he's going to play, because now he's going to be at home alone, right? Like he's got no wife and kids anymore. Like he's going to play till he's 915. He's going to be Methuselah out there playing a football game. But looking at what this team had, right? Like last year, they took the Rams to the limit. It seemed like if they had 40 seconds left in that game, Tampa Bay was going to win that game, right? They've got Tom Brady. They've got everything on paper to be like, this is the team that should be winning the Super Bowl. And instead, because I look at the Rams and I say, okay, they lost Odell Beckham. They lost a lot of pieces on the defensive line. They lost Bobby Trees in that receiving core, right? So there you lost your 2 and 3 and even 4th receiver from the LA Rams. Meanwhile, Tampa Bay brought back everybody except for Gronk. And this team is just that bad. The first time in Tom Brady's career that he is with a sub 500 record this late in the season. And that is something that is absolutely surprising to people, right? The benefit to that is that he plays for the NFC South, or plays in the NFC South, and that division is just absolute garbage. My surprise of the year, Brandon, isn't going to be your Giants. It's going to be the Philadelphia Eagles. I thought that this was going to be a pretty good team. I said that they were going to win the division. I thought they'd win the division with like 9 wins, 10 wins on the season. They've already got 10 wins on the season. They're clicking on all cylinders. The addition of A.J. Brown was huge for this team. They just signed Ndamukong Suh to help out with the run defense. This is a team that has gone all in to win a Super Bowl again this year, and they've got a legitimate shot to do that, as Tyson Fury is currently laying the wood down, and Brandon is ignoring the hell out of every word.
I am listening to you. I hear every word you say. I mean, look, the reason I'm going to disagree about the Eagles is because I feel that, Hurts is a great quarterback. We know they had a decent ground game. We know they added A.J. Brown. I mean, look, they've been very surprising. I will give you that, but I'm not as surprised just because of the offseason additions. And I feel that, to me, Philadelphia was that team, that up-and-coming team, especially with a young quarterback in Hurts.
But there were so many questions coming into this year about Jalen Hurts. I felt like I was the only person on an island saying, no, this dude is a good quarterback. He's a really good quarterback. He's not just a runner. He can throw the ball. We see how accurate he is on those deep passes. The dude's a good – I was like the one guy alone on an island, even with our guy Steven Michael Puga. His question this year was, how's Jalen Hurts going to do? Because the team's not going to do good because I got no faith in this guy. Here they are 10-1, and he is the good. Like, he should be an MVP.
He's pretty damn good. I mean, he's been pretty darn good and very impressive to see what he's done. So, I mean, it's going to be really interesting to see what they do down the stretch. And certainly, I don't think anybody at this point figured they would be 10-1. That's for sure.
I don't think I've ever asked this question to you before, Daver. What is your football team? Like, what's your NFL team that you cheer for? Because I know you're from, like, the Pennsylvania area. I think you're more from Pittsburgh, right?
Allentown, Pennsylvania.
Allentown, Pennsylvania. Are you a Steelers fan?
What was that?
Are you a Steelers fan?
I'm actually an Eagles fan.
An
That's
Eagles
why I asked
fan.
that first question. And we like the Eagles because of the times they brought their training camp to Lehigh University. It helped the local economy and to a lot of fans.
Okay.
And established a healthy rapport with the Eagles.
Excellent. So Daver's an Eagles fan, which I never knew. So that means, like, now, as much as I love Daver, he's just become my mortal enemy as a Dallas Cowboys fan. Like my heart is broken hearing that, Daver.
Well, who else can I admit that but on the leading internet sports talk show?
There we, he buttered me up. He buttered me up. He won me over
I
again.
always love
Damn it.
Daver anyway, so.
The Cowboys, they still have to stay healthy. People were talking about, was it too soon for Dak Prescott to get back in?
Mhm.
And if he's trying to play his best while still recuperating from an injury, you're going to see those gaps in the count of the season.
Yeah, that's the main thing. Our friend Steve Lama asking which Union Draft House are we at? We might as well give them a little bit of love, Brandon. We are at Union Draft House in Sunland Park, 713 Sunland Park Drive, in the parking lot of Sunland Park Mall over here on the west side of El Paso. Come swing by, say hi to us, be a part of the show, ask us questions, slap me around if you want to. Some people like that kind of stuff, Brandon. But over here at Union Draft House, they've got over 100 beers for you to choose from. I am currently sipping on some Shinerbach. Brandon is drinking water because he's a good and decent human being. Daver's also drinking water because he's also a good and decent human being. Maybe I've got to look at myself and take some assessments in the mirror. But today they've got the $4 sours, Brandon, and let them know about the special they got on food.
$2 build your own pizza. So you order a pizza, cheese pizza, $2, and then any additional topping, $2 more. So figure for $4 you get a nice pepperoni pizza. Yes, this pizza is phenomenal.
There we go. The
It's
pizza
good
right here.
pizza.
We had a $4 build your own pizza, and the only thing Brandon and I could think of was pepperoni.
Are you saying that that's $4?
That is $4.
You should get one.
I should definitely
Yes,
get one.
yes, but no pork for you. You don't eat pork, just bacon. Ga. Mushrooms, there you go. $4. Yeah, it's good pizza. Their thin pizza's phenomenal.
All right. Okay, so currently on some of the TVs over here, because Union Draft House has a ton of TVs going on right now. It's almost like sensory overload. I've got the SEC championship game happening right now, which I didn't think would happen until later on in the evening because it's the SEC. But you got LSU, Georgia, right? Don't care about this because we know Georgia's going to win. Georgia's in the CFP no matter what. Michigan more than likely also in the CFP no matter what. USC lost yesterday, which means they're more than likely out. And then TCU, I don't know if they're winning or losing right now. Maybe someone can help me out with that.
I'll get you, don't worry.
But if TCU loses, Brandon, I believe the chaos has worked out in my favor, giving me the thing that I want the most, which is a 2-loss Alabama.
Wow, there goes, look at that. Down goes TCU.
Everything,
In overtime, 31-28.
all the chaos I needed to
Wow,
happen
down
has happened.
Goes TCU. How
Brandon,
do you like
can
that?
we get a 2-loss Alabama in the championship game?
I mean, anything's possible. And why not? There's our buddy Henry. He wants to join us too. I mean, anything can happen, right? Anything could happen.
Okay, so you've been basically and effectively ignoring the dog shit out of me. What's going on with this match? Like, what's going on with this
Well,
boxing
I mean,
match?
right now, it's the Gypsy King doing what the Gypsy King does best. This kid Fury is the real deal. I told you why he's the best. Look at him. He's got the height. He's got the reach. And what he does is he likes to lay on his opponents and he tires them out. This other kid came out like a bull, and he was landing a lot of punches in the first round. But then Fury did what Fury does best, and he completely wears out his opponents eventually. Look, let me tell you something. The reason why Fury is so damn good is because he makes it nearly impossible to beat him. I mean, he's one of the most skilled boxers I've ever seen, especially for having an NFL-like stature. The guy's like 6'9", and has to weigh, what, close to 3? So with that being said, he's just wearing this guy out. I think it may be a couple more rounds before he knocks him out, to be honest with you.
So the thing that I love about the way that he boxes, right, as opposed to the Klitschko's, because the Klitschko's used to do that too, where they laid down on their opponent, but they never threw punches. Tyson Fury will start just throwing stuff, man. And that's what I love and appreciate the most about Tyson Fury and his style and the way that he boxes and the way that he does his thing, right? Because you see him right here. He's throwing punches. He's dodging stuff. His defense is so underrated. And I think he and Wilder are single-handedly bringing back the heavyweight division.
I agree. I mean, look, this man's flamboyancy is through the roof, and he's been like that for a long time. He's that real personality that boxing needed, okay? And look, he's outlanding his opponent 60 to 31%, okay? And that speaks volumes right there. With that said, this guy's energy, his enthusiasm, his personality, his touching story. I mean, he was ready to commit suicide before he became the heavyweight champion. Look at him. Look at how he wears him. This other kid's against the ropes. He's got no chance. Really. I mean, Fury, that's what he does. He wears you out, and he dominated this kid, okay? Long story short, and there's nobody left for Tyson Fury to fight at this point. Nobody.
Maybe we bring our buddy George Foreman out.
Yeah, George is crazy, that's for sure. George likes being retired, especially if it would come to fighting a guy like this. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
George never fought a guy this big before. Look at him. Look at him. Impressive, right?
Oh, yeah. So I wasn't really prepared to talk about boxing. I completely forgot that this was even going to happen today, right?
Good timing.
Great timing that we have over here. But you see Tyson Fury just knocking the hell out of who is this guy that he's in the ring with? Kasurga?
Yeah, Kasurga. Good fighter, this Kasurga kid.
But Tyson Fury is absolutely dominating this.
Look at him. Look at him. This other kid's got no chance.
You feel like he's been in that corner the entirety of this round.
And this other guy is a little bull. I mean, look at him. He's got that stocky figure, and he's got a good punch too, but nothing compared to Fury though. Okay. And remember how good of a punch Fury could take.
So getting back over to the NFL as we took a little bit of a break there to watch, part of this fight. We're not allowed to do play-by-play though, Brandon. We can't do that.
Okay, don't do play-by-play.
We can't get in trouble. As David said, we are the internet's leading sports talk station.
Oh, we certainly are.
Show. So I'm glad we have that endorsement. But one thing that I wanted to talk about, Brandon, is we saw the news that came out over the weekend about Jerry Jones, right? A picture of Jerry Jones whenever he's 15.
Jerry Jones was in the news?
Yeah, only this weekend, right? But a picture of Jerry Jones at 15 years old in 1957, standing outside of a school that is refusing segregation or desegregation, right? How late or how long is too long before this becomes an issue, right? Like, this is 65 years at minimum that it's been since Jerry Jones was a part of this. Why is this a thing in a news cycle now?
It's a great question. And I think it's funny. It's all about timing. It never ceases to amaze me how stories like this come out in ideal times or unideal times, you could really say. But I don't know. I think it's intriguing. We are prodigies of our times, and obviously things were a lot different back then. A lot different than they are today, and it's a darn good thing. Things have changed for the better. Let's just put it that way. But my mind is boggled. I don't know why. What the relevancy of that coming out now is? I think it's odd, to say the least.
Well, so my thing, right? Like, for anyone that knows anything about me, I was adopted. My mom and dad. My mom was born in 1929. My dad was born in 1930. Right? They grew up in the middle of the Great Depression, all the way through World War II and all the way through like desegregation and things of that nature. Do you mean to tell me that a kid in high school in 1957 might not be curious to see what the hell might be going on outside his school?
I don't see why not. I mean, aren't most kids that age curious?
And then my question to that would be for all the people that are like, you know what, he had to know what was going on, blah, 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 right? Excuse me.
Always know what's going on, though?
Yeah. How many of us would have a clean slate if our childhood was dug up?
Oh, I would. Yeah, that's a good point, my friend. We've got a few skeletons in our closet, right?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
So for me, it's like, okay, do we judge someone who has done a lot, right? And the thing that the thing that people keep harkening back on is he's never hired a black head coach. Okay. He's never hired a black GM. He's not going to hire any GM. He's the GM, right? Like, it's been 30 years of him as the GM.
How many organizations have never hired a black head coach? How many black head coaches have there been in the history of the NFL? Okay. Now, finally, we've seen some damn good black head coaches, and certainly they've been given a lot more chances. And the Rooney Rule, good rule, rather. Okay. With that being said, don't knock the guy because he's never hired a black head coach. That's asinine and ridiculous.
So not everyone's from El Paso. When Don Haskins took the lead and solved our prejudice issues back in the 60s.
That's right.
When he basically said, come on, everyone loves winning.
As David just said, not everyone could be like Don Haskins, who in 1967 right as the civil rights movement is meeting like its peak, right? Said, F it, I like to win, and brought out a whole lineup of nothing but pure black guys to play against an all-white Kentucky, right? It takes time, man. But you can't sit there and look at Jerry Jones and look at the things that he's done for the community and say this man is definitively a racist because when he was 15 years old, he was there and there's a picture of him standing outside the school in Arkansas, of all damn places.
Dirty South, right?
Yeah. The South in the 1950s might have had some questionable things going on. Oh, my God. Who'd have thought that?
Yeah, never.
But that's the thing that I don't understand here is people saying, take the Dallas Cowboys away from him. Make him sell the team. This should be a complete
Stupidest thing I've ever heard in
punishment.
my life. And you know what? Here's the thing, okay? I'm going to say this. That there have been people that, again, you're a product of your environment. Back in the day, they had different ways of thinking. As you get older, you change your ways, okay? And they made mistakes in the past. It doesn't mean they can't make up for those mistakes as they get older. And I think that's the most stupid argument I've ever heard in my life. It really is a bad argument.
All right, Brandon, because I'm getting invested in this match now as well, we'll have a couple more little things that we'll talk about here. U.S. men's national soccer team. Was this a disappointment, what they did in the World Cup, making it to the round of 16, or was this a win for them, making it to the round of 16?
Well, I would think that you'd be a moron to say it's a disappointment because they made it to the round of 16. Last time I checked, as great as Mexico is, they didn't make it for the first time since 78. Okay, unfortunately for, Team Mexico. But, I mean, look, bottom line is you made it to the knockout stage again, and your Team USA. And you lost to a damn good Holland team, okay? Holland could win it all. As they said today, the Netherlands, a.k.a. Holland, for those of you who don't know that, one of the best teams that have never won a World Cup. And they have a legitimate shot of winning it all this year. Congratulations to Team USA for making it to the round of 16 yet again and getting out of a very good group stage, in my opinion. I mean, it wasn't amazing, but it sure was good. The 1-0 win against Iran was huge. They made it to the round of 16 in the World Cup, okay? Wouldn't anticipate they'd get any farther because the other teams are a hell of a lot better, but at least you made it that far. Good job.
So
and they're very young, by the way.
I agree with you, right? But can I play devil's advocate?
What's new?
Shouldn't we, as the United States, with like the population that we have, with the resources that we have, shouldn't we be better at this?
No.
Is going to the dance as good as like just dominating the dance? You know
No,
what I
because
mean?
that's not our sport. I mean, soccer's not our sport. Football.
If soccer's not our sport, why are they trying to shove it down our throats all the time?
Why? What?
If soccer's not our sport, why are they trying to shove it down our throats all the time?
Because it's the most important sport everywhere else in the world, with the exception of here. I mean, for the most part, it's you and I have done a lot of world traveling, and we know it's popular everywhere else but here. And again, what I heard, I don't know, we're both media members, but part of it has to do with they don't show it a lot here because not enough time for advertising. There's just not enough breaks. There's not enough, 90 minutes, 30 minutes, 30 minutes, 35 to 35, whatever, or 45 to 45 rather. There's that's why I don't teach math. There's no time for commercials. So these kids grow up not playing soccer and playing other sports, and we're not great at soccer. I mean, we're okay at soccer, but it's not our sport, not like the rest of the world. Oh,
I think soccer is overrated.
I think it's boring, but I at least watch the World Cup, though.
I'd rather dominate the football we invented.
Yeah, me too. I like football more. The rest of the world doesn't care about football.
All right, so we'll go ahead and call it a show, Brandon. It's been an absolute blast. I love having my buddy back.
Buddy, I got nothing but love for you.
It's been a long time.
Show
Our
him the
guy
knick-knack
Daver.
I brought you. Show him the Monito I brought you from Iceland.
Oh yeah. Okay, so Brandon brought me this from Iceland. A little Viking helmet, little magnet and stuff like that. It looks absolutely phenomenal. I can't wait to put this. I'm gonna put it on my fridge
That's what it's
because
for.
because I was thinking maybe I could put it somewhere at work or something. I don't want it to go missing. It means a lot to me that you thought of me, Brandon. I appreciate it greatly. I can't wait till we do this again. We're going to do it next week at Bikini Joe's over on the far east side of El Paso. So we'll see you all out there. Hopefully you all can make it. Daver, once again, thank you for coming out here with us. Everybody, thank you for tuning in. And we will see you all next week while we watch Tyson Fury hopefully win this match. I was about to say, it's been sitting there for at least an hour and a half. It's time for us to get something to eat. We did. I did.